everybody, I'm Jen,
And I'm Tammy.
and they call us Woo.
Hi, everyone. Today we thought it would be super fun to talk about um, a more clearing. We've talked about clearing in the past, different ways that you can do clearing, but there's just so many good things out there. There's so many ways to do things that just help you mentally, physically, spiritually. So, clearing energetically as well as bringing in different energy is just such a fun topic to talk about. And we thought it
Mhm.
might be a good time, especially just coming out of a 3 week Mercury retrograde. There was a couple major events. There were solar flares, there was eclipses, there was just lots of
Full
stuff
moon.
happening. Yes, full moon.
Yeah.
There was lots happening up there in the skies, as well as people just shifting seasons. I mean, it was a lot of change happening all at the same time, and people felt it. So we thought this was a good time to talk about more of that. And there's so many practices out there that can be really helpful. So we're just going to talk a little bit more about some of those.
My brain right now, like when you started talking, my brain pictured Mother Nature coming in with like two paddles and being like, clear, like just completely like shocking everybody's system. Okay, we're gonna get all of this out of the way. Just clear.
I mean, there's practices that can be intense like that, but I suppose it depends what level you need.
Hopefully, Mother Nature isn't shocking you like that, but maybe. Sometimes that's how I feel.
Well, I know we kind of were chatting a little bit before this about some of the different herbs and stuff that can be used. Because sage is, of course, the one that a lot of people know about for smudging.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that one is, we've talked about it, but also I think that one, we talked a little more about different ways that you can use it. But let's get into some of the other herbs that you can use too, because there's so many available, and Mother Nature is very helpful in offering all types of medicine to us, medicine that we can consume, medicine that we can use on our bodies, medicine we can burn. There's just so many different ways that we can use these medicines. So,
Yes.
what's one of your favorite herbs to use?
Wow. Okay. So the thing that I'm going to pick is not necessarily considered an herb. It's actually a resin. Um, but copal. I
Mm.
don't know if you've ever smelled copal, but it's this like sweet, earthy, smoky. I just love it. I love resins to begin with. One, they're fun to burn because you put them on like these little charcoal discs. And for whatever reason, I love the smell of the charcoal discs too, which most people hate that smell, but I love that smell. But I think I like it more because you hold these discs with these funny little tongs, and then you light the bottom of the charcoal disc, and it goes and it turns like you can see all these little fireworks in the charcoal as it's lighting. It's my favorite. It's a ceremony in and of itself. You get like fireworks of excitement about burning and clearing. And then you just take these little resin pieces and you put them on top of the charcoal once the charcoal is hot enough, and it melts, which I think that's kind of cool too, because you get to
Mm-hmm.
just watch it melt in front of you. And then, just like any other incense, the smoke comes up and provides this beautiful clearing and this lovely scent. But you don't
That
need a
sounds
ton of
awesome.
it. Yeah, you don't need a ton of it. And it, like the charcoal lasts for a really long time. You have to be
Mm.
careful because sometimes people will drop the charcoal in their like burning shell and or a bowl that's not heat safe, and then it shatters. So if you're going to use resins, you want to have like an appropriate burning bowl.
Okay.
So like a
I
metal
suppose that gets
burning
pretty
bowl.
hot, right?
Yes, it's just
Okay.
like the
I haven't
charcoal
had a
that you
lot of
would put.
practice with that.
Oh, it's just like the charcoal you would put in your grill, only it's little teeny tiny discs. Um, and so it gets really, really hot. And I have seen it melt through things. Like somebody put it on a table and the container that they put it in got so hot that it like melted through the table.
Yikes.
Um, yeah. So you have to be careful if you're using them. You have to know like the appropriate tools to have. So you always want to do like I I use a metal container. Some people will use like hand formed high heat burned ceramic
Mm,
um because it can withstand higher temperatures, but you want to know that it can withstand higher temperatures. Um
sure.
and then don't touch the container that it's in. You will burn yourself,
Good
and then it will be
advice.
like Mother Nature shocked you. Um, but it's like Copal is a very high vibration clearing agent. So it helps you connect with your ancestors. It helps with honoring ceremonies. It's used in a lot of Mayan Aztec ceremonies for honoring the ancestors and for bringing you to this higher vibratory state. So it opens your intuition, it allows you to connect. Um, there's some traditions that talk about how the sun, the moon, and the earth all share in these resins, and they're all carrying these energies to the people on the earth. So it's like this beautiful combination of those energies all coming together.
That's
So
cool.
as you're doing clearing, a lot of the time people will use them. I've been to a couple of Mayan fire ceremonies where they actually take the copal and they throw it in the fire. Like they'll just take handfuls of this resin and throw it in the fire. Where when you use it at home, you use like 3 or 4 little resin pellets and they'll take like pounds of it and throw it in the fire.
Nice.
And it smells so delicious. Um, but it's really good for clearing, but it's really good for bringing you into this space of gratitude and this space of honoring. Um, so it's I don't know, it's one of my favorites, and every time somebody smells it that hasn't smelled it before, they're like, "What is that?" Like I heard when I was in Guatemala, I heard several people say, "What is that? What are they putting in the fire?" And I'm like, "It's copal." It's the best thing, and people's eyes just light up because it smells so delicious.
See,
So
that
that's one of
must
my
be
favorites.
different in the resin form since I really haven't played around with that very much. Because you can get like incense and stuff like that too, but it sounds
Not the
like it's,
same.
yeah, it sounds like it's different. It's a lot more powerful in its true form.
Yeah, actually, several of the people that I talked to in Guatemala, they were like, the incense that I have doesn't smell like that." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, no, you have to use the resin. The resin smells so much better."
I
And
might have to
I've
try that.
found energetically for me using resins, um, really they're more powerful for me. I don't know if they are for everybody, but they're also because you have to burn them, because you have to have like the appropriate tools. A lot of people avoid using resins because they don't
Sure.
know how to use them.
Well, I mean, it sounds like it can be used in practices if you're concerned about having the right vessel where a lot of people have, bonfire pits and stuff that can still be used the
Yes.
same way.
Yes.
And you don't have to
Yeah.
worry quite as much about that. But that, the vessel it's in. But
Mhm.
that sounds pretty awesome, actually. It makes me want to use some of that too because I just haven't got, and part of it was that I haven't really gotten into it because I'm like, I need all the right tools before I try to get into that. But I
I
do
will
still
bring
enjoy.
some. I will bring some.
Well, now I'm really looking forward to that. Um, but I do like when you're talking about the resins and stuff, like when you burn Palo Santo is one of my favorites. That really is the smell and the feeling you get really is from burning the resin, not just the wood. That's why you get these little chunks of wood and they smell heavenly even before you burn them. But when you burn them, it just releases all that sweet, woodsy, beautiful aroma.
Mhm.
And sandalwood too, which it's a little bit harder to get sandalwood in its like real form and burn it that way. I find a lot of times that I use incense for that, but as you were describing it, I was like, oh, that sounds like all of the things that I love. And I use it a lot with gratitude, like when I'm done with my work day And I want to just go through and thank everything for being part of the beautiful energy of the day, and all of the healing that's taken place, and all the people who have come in that brought all of their energy that mixed up in there too. Um, I like to use it as part of the gratitude because it just feels very uplifting when you use it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it
So
sounds like
what do you
Copal has
like
similar.
better? Do you like the sandalwood or the Palo Santo better?
Um, since I haven't really had a lot of experience burning just sandalwood in its wood form, I I like Palo Santo for burning at work. I like sandalwood in incense form as just, I've been doing a lot of that lately. There's certain ones that I really like at home as just kind of like a, just to set the mood, if that makes sense. So it's like I use, not that kind of mood.
Miss Tammy.
I mean,
TMI.
no shame if people want to do that, but that's not what I meant. um, But at work, like Palo Santo, definitely I use it more for like clearing, bringing in gratitude and love, um, thanking everything for its part in and its role in how everything works together. That's what I feel like I use more for clearing. The sandalwood I feel like is just kind of a nice little like background. It's sandalwood I think is a little more gentle, and it
Yeah.
really is spiritually it's a lot about like unity, and so it just kind of gives you that just overall peaceful feeling in your home. So I just kind of
Yeah.
use them a little bit differently. I can't say that I've used sandalwood incense specifically for clearing. I'm usually using Palo Santo at work. I kind of go between whatever it is that I feel like is needed at the time. I have sage and sweetgrass, Palo Santo, and incense, all of or variation of them. Sometimes all of them get used in one day. It just depends on
Yep.
what's needed. And I use my intuition for that mostly, where for me, I like to do the sway test. So I just grab each thing and go, okay, do I need you? Do I need you? And I get really clear answers like, yes, let's use you. And sometimes it's, let's use both of us at the same time. So
Yep.
I
Yep.
do whatever I'm called to do. And it's funny because every time I do that, someone will comment on it too and be like, oh, it smells so good. So I'm like, even if that wasn't for me, it was clearly for this person who walked through the space next.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was telling you before we started that sandalwood makes me think of temples because
Mm-hmm.
I've been in a few Tibetan temples and a few temples in other places. One in particular, there's a temple in Honolulu that I went to when I was there a few years ago, and walking in, you could just smell the sandalwood. And every temple or certain other like ceremonial buildings that I've been in, they're burning sandalwood like at the altar, where you go in to offer your prayers or to offer um, requests for healing. And so when you walk in, it's just this beautiful smell that greets
Mm.
you. And it's almost like it grabs, this is like a cartoon. These are the pictures that are in Jen's head, everybody. These are the pictures. It's like the sandalwood smoke is like wafting toward you, and then it just hooks you in your nose and pulls you like where you need to go. They're like, come to the altar with me. And that's what it's like. It just hooks you in, and it's just like, oh, come here, let me hold you, let me take care of
Oh.
you. And it is a very calming smell, but it makes me think of temples and like ceremonial buildings and ceremonial sites. Every time I smell it, I'm like, oh,
Mm.
oh, this is lovely, this is lovely. um, that makes me think Nag Champa. I don't know
Mm.
if you know what that is, but it's another
Love it.
incense. And the very, very first metaphysical store that I ever went into, they were burning Nag Champa. And so when I walk in and I smell that smell, I'm like, oh. This reminds me of that day, like the first day that I walked into a metaphysical place and was like, oh my gosh, there's stones and crystals and there's essential oils and incense and all the things everywhere. This is heaven. And so now every time I burn that, that's what I think of. And I'm like, it's like the beginning again. And
Oh, I
I
love
love it.
that.
Yeah.
I don't have a memory of it in a metaphysical store, but I do have a pretty clear memory from my teen years when there was this little independent store that had all different types of stuff, incense, little trinkets, like all types of stuff, but it wasn't really metaphysical specific, and it always smelled like that. And I that memory is burned solidly into my brain too, because it's just a smell that connects you with that good feeling again. And I will say there's certain incenses that I prefer over others for the scent, because it can vary. I think it can vary greatly between the different brands of incense.
Yes.
So if you find one that you don't like, try a few others and see which one makes the most sense for you, because yes, they a lot of times have like, pretty words on the box or for what it is or whatever, but
Mhm.
just because one doesn't really sit right with you doesn't mean there's not another one that you won't love. And
Yeah.
we always have a variety available at home because you just kind of go with whatever you feel like that day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I would also say, like, if you go to a store and they have those, a lot of stores used to have, I don't know how many still do, but they had like loose incense
Mm-hmm.
sticks where you could pick and choose what incense you wanted to try them all out. Well, I found out that if you leave all of your incense in the same bag
Oh,
for a long period of time, they get very weird smells to them.
they
So if
start to blend a
you,
little bit.
yes,
Yeah,
and that can make a huge difference when you go to burn them because
that's true.
sometimes there are certain scents that do not work well with other scents.
Mm-hmm.
So if you smell something like Tammy said and it's not quite right, just think about one, the way that it's been stored. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you've stored them all together, that could be an issue. I've also found that some of the hand rolled incense that I've purchased, this is going to sound really weird, but it smells like body odor to me.
Oh,
Like, and I don't know what it is, but there's certain hand rolling techniques that the sticks that they use and the way that they soak them, it has that scent to me. And so I
weird.
would also say watch, like, if it's hand rolled or if it's machine rolled, or like look at what you're purchasing and what you like the smell of and what you don't, because there are certain hand rolled ones that I can't do because I'm like, whoa, this smells like I just looked like a lizard. If you are not watching, you should totally go back and look at that because I just made a face that looked like a weird lizard. Um, but yeah, there's certain ones that I just can't handle because it smells like body odor to me. And I'm like, why is that
That doesn't sound
underlying smell
pleasant at
there?
all.
No, but
See,
I think it's like the sticks that they use.
it must
Like there's
be.
something.
And I tend to not enjoy the like the heavy fragrancy smells. Like, sometimes you go to
Yes.
the shops and they'll have like apple and stuff like that. I
Ick.
tend to not enjoy those. I tend to go for the more, I guess you'd say, natural
Mhm.
scents. But
Which
also,
apple is natural, but like,
but I mean, like, it doesn't come in
well,
incense form naturally,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, I tend to go
They're
for the ones that,
grinding up apples and
oh,
just
gross.
smashing them on a stick.
I think that would have a very different scent. Um, but yeah, I tend to go for the other ones, and the ones that I feel like are the closest I can get to what the item in its original form would smell like, if that makes sense. Like if I like a sandalwood incense, I tend to try to go for the ones that smell as close as they can to the original smell.
Yeah.
Because I know, I mean, when it's incense, they have to add other stuff to it to make it a burn appropriately. But
Yeah.
incense can be a very clearing thing too.
Mhm.
Not only can you use it to clear spaces, so like when we were talking about the different types of herbs you can use. There's other ones like cedar has its own properties for being a very clearing, cleansing, refreshing herb to use for clearing. But also, like kind of we were talking about earlier, you can use it to bring things in too. So you could even say you really wanted to give a good spring cleaning to the energy of your space. You could go through with sage, clear everything out as until you feel like things are feeling pretty neutral, and then come back through with like sweetgrass or with
Yeah.
cedar or with palo santo or copal or any of those, where then you're also bringing in another type of energy that
Mhm.
makes the space feel like what you want it to feel like. Like I always remember when we were talking about sweetgrass a long time ago, you said that you like sweetgrass because it brings the sweetness in. It's like a really
Mhm.
positive, uplifting, and it stuck with me because I'm like, that really is, what it does.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a nice one to use after you've cleared anything you want to kind of neutralize to then bring in the energy you want to call in. Sandalwood is good for that if you want connection. Sweetgrass, copal, like you said, is really great for connection and kind of the spiritual intuition and stuff. So it's sometimes more than just clearing. It's thinking, okay, once I kind of feel like anything that might be stagnant is moved and shifted to something else, now what do I want my space to feel like in order to support me the best that it can or support my family?
Yeah.
So you can
Yeah.
use that after you use other forms of clearing too. You can use, we've talked about using bells and different toning before. You can look up different frequencies on YouTube or even Spotify, any place now. You can look up different frequencies that you can play that help to clear and bring in different energies. There's tons of different ways you can use this together. It's kind of fun to play with it and see how you feel. But with
Yeah.
all of the shifts happening, sitting there for a moment and being like, okay, so now that this portion of this crazy cosmic journey has passed, um, what do I want these next steps to look like? And
Yeah.
spring is a perfect time to do it because it's when everyone feels that need to just kind of like clear stuff out and get all this fresh energy in there and get ready for the summer and all the things that are coming. So it's perfect
Yeah.
time to sit
Well,
with that.
and it's important for people to add something back into the space. A lot of people don't
Mm-hmm.
recognize, people are like, oh, yeah, it would be nice for it to feel like this. But when we clear out something old, that means there's room for something to fill it up. And so if we
Mm-hmm.
don't intentionally fill that space back up with something good and something positive and something we want there, something else can creep in and just sit there. So if you have other stuff going on in your life, or people around you have other stuff going on in their lives, that very well could fill up your space.
That's a good point.
So energetically, make sure you are setting intentions if you are doing any type of clearing ceremony and filling that space with something good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you were just talking about spring and like new beginnings, things like that. And I know one of the things that's really, really good for new beginnings and starting over and starting from the beginning is rosemary.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people will throw rosemary in ceremonies for like new moon when you are bringing in that new energy, or even like when you are clearing out all of the stuff around the full moon, people will set another ceremony or another piece to their ceremony where they're bringing in that new energy using rosemary. So they'll either burn rosemary in their fires, or they'll lay out rosemary like on their altars to bring that energy in. So
That's
that's
a really good
something.
reminder.
Yes. And I
Rosemary
am
is
somebody
very
who,
refreshing.
yes, I love the smell of it, but I don't like when we cook with it, like when it sits for a little bit and it gets spiky and then it pokes you in the mouth. I don't like that.
Well, if you're using it for ceremony, you don't have to eat
Yeah,
it.
don't eat it if it's spiky. When it's soft and fresh and lovely, it is delicious with your food. But otherwise, if it's spiky, I don't want it.
I know exactly what you mean. It still tastes delicious though. Rosemary potatoes are so good. Um,
Yum.
yeah, we're gonna make ourselves hungry if we keep talking about eating stuff. We were talking earlier too about other things, other ways that you can clear, other than burning and using herbs that way. Water is a really great way to clear and move energy through too. I mean, that is exactly what it does. That water
Yes.
flows, and that's exactly what it does. Is it brings energy through and helps shift stuff. So if you find yourself like really craving a good shower, or you've had a
Mhm.
really, let's say you've had a lot of crazy energy that day, or you had a tough time with a family member, or a tough day at work, or whatever, try taking a really nice shower when you get home.
Mhm.
Some people like to do a bath, sometimes adding Epsom salts or certain essential oils. Some people like to hang like rosemary, eucalyptus, things like refreshing herbs and stuff. There's so many ways you can play with that too, but then just
Mhm.
allow the water, sit there with your intention in the shower and the bath, and allow the water to just wash that off of you,
Yep.
allow it to move through you so you can come out of it feeling refreshed and ready for the next thing that you want to do.
Yeah.
So I personally, I love that method, especially the showers, because I do feel like it really does move a lot for me.
Yep.
And it's not necessarily like I just had a bad day or anything. Sometimes it's just a lot of energy has been moving. And I'm like, all right, I want to just kind of get myself cleared and regrounded and move on to the next thing and allow everything to kind of settle a little bit.
Yeah. That's actually one of the things that I did to start my birthday the other day. I have to tell you, this is kind of funny. Everybody, for the last year, I've been telling everybody that I'm 42. Totally wasn't 42. I was only 41. So I turned I turned 42 and I was like, "Woohoo! I'm a year younger." So I reset my whole year. But I started my year, maybe this is why it reset, because I did a detox bath that morning and detoxed all the stuff that I didn't want from the past year. Like anything that was still lingering, I did a detox bath. So I did an herbal bath, warm bath, and I have like an herbal salt mix that some beautiful woman that I met in California made. And it has all kinds of different herbs in it. And so it's like Epsom salt and all kinds of herbs and all kinds of, I think there's also Tulsi tea in it, which
Hmm.
smells delicious. Um, I don't know if it's actually Tulsi tea. It's probably just Tulsi. Don't drink the detox
Bath
bath
water.
stuff. Don't do it.
It's
It
probably a
probably
good
wouldn't be
rule of
delicious.
thumb.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't drink your bath water. That's weird and gross. But like I love doing baths and then taking a shower afterwards. And so this one I just dump in just loose, but usually I would make like a little sachet bag, so just like a little cloth bag and fill it full of different herbs. So I've done rosemary, I've done fresh lavender from the garden.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll put a little bit of sweetgrass in there. Cedar is really good in there.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Cedar is good for your skin too, isn't it?
yes, and I usually put oats in there
Mm.
because oats is really good and really calming for your system as well. Um, so I'll put all of those things in my bath and I mix up the herbs depending on what I'm feeling like I need for that moment.
Mm.
Um, I put it in the little baggie so that I don't have as much to clean up in the bathtub afterwards
Yeah.
because herbs get everywhere and then they get caught in your drain and blah.
Yeah. You can even use those little like metal tea ball things or whatever to. There's all kinds of
Yes.
ways you can do that.
Yes.
I wish I
Um,
had a bath where I live right now currently that was nicer than the one that I have.
mhm.
My goal is because we're currently in a space that we're renting, so we can't, you know, put anything new in there. But my goal is when we purchase our next place that we live to have a really nice bath and a really nice shower because I
Nice.
miss being able to do stuff like that. You can
Mm-hmm.
kind of like do things in the shower, but if you want to actually like soak for a while with like the herbs and stuff, it's not quite the same. But
Yeah.
that's okay.
Well,
We'll get there.
you can come to my house. I'll let you take an herb bath at my house if you'd
Nice.
like.
I
We have
appreciate that.
multiple, we have other bathrooms that we can use, so you can take up that bathroom all you want.
Just
Although
visit
right
and for like
now,
a couple days not leave the bathroom.
yes, right now we have one bathroom that is filled with little baby chicks. So we have six chickens in one bathroom right now. So you might have to wait until they're not in the bathroom.
Full house, but that's okay.
Unless you want to take a bath with little baby chickens.
That might be interesting, but I don't know how relaxing it would be.
um, they're a little bit pecky. I don't think that
Probably
would be
not.
fun.
I've always had pets that were very concerned with me being in the bathtub too, which
Oh.
is funny. I don't know if it's. I always wondered because dogs I've had in the past, like there was one in particular. He was always in there when you were taking a bath, and as soon as you would like move your arm out or whatever, he'd try to like help you get the water off your arms, like he'd start licking you and stuff, like I got you, it's okay. And I'd have to be like, it's okay, I actually want to do this, like don't worry about me. But
He
weirdly
was just
enough,
thirsty.
my cat, he legit looked concerned, and maybe it's because he looked humiliated every time he was in the bath, but he would roll and grow stuff, and then I'm like, I'm sorry, I know you think you smell good, but I don't. um anyway, but my cat now is kind of the same where sometimes we'll get really really curious when I'm in there
Hmm.
and be concerned about what's happening and why I would just be sitting in water intentionally. It's just funny. So I don't know. I'm kind of curious what the reaction would be if I had all these like lovely herbs in there too. It'd probably be really confusing. Like, what is that
They're
that you're?
like Tammy soup.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Um, so herbs, herbs in mixture with water, salt, like all of the things so far, even as we've talked about the different things being mixed together, all of them can be so very clearing. But I like that you brought up earlier intention is a big piece of it. So the truth is a you can explore and have fun with all of this. I mean, when you just look up what certain herbs do, you probably get a good idea of how it's going to help you spiritually as well as physically. If you look up what, salt is good for all of these things, it's makes sense why they do what they do. But really the big piece of it is going into it with intention
Yeah.
because, we're really the power behind it too, right? If you don't set the intention for what you want to happen, you're not in flow with what you're using. Or sometimes, if you really don't believe that it can do what it's going to do, well, then you might not allow it to do what it needs to do anyway. So,
Hmm.
intention is huge. And then there's other things outside of that. There's so many ceremonies you can do around. A lot of people like to do ceremony around the new moon and set their intentions for how they want that time to play out until the full moon comes. Some people will do things like moon bathing and forest bathing. I mean, there's like tons of different ways that you can do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's fun to, I think, explore and try to find the things that feel very appealing to you. And I know, like, we've talked even about cacao and stuff like that. That's all part of this, too. It's all bringing an energy into your body that's helping with physical, spiritual healing and clearing.
Cacao, cacao. Oh, I was thinking about I had the opportunity to have willow tea one day.
Mm.
Um there's willow tea and cedar tea, and both of them are absolutely delicious if anybody ever gets a chance to participate in those. But they're also very clearing internally and externally. So you're you're ingesting the medicine that you're receiving then. Um, but they're so good and they're so filled with gratitude, and you're communing with Mother Nature and Mother Earth while you're drinking them. So not only cacao, but like willow tea or cedar tea, or um, I do rosehip tea, which is another thing that brings like delicious, loving energy in. So you could combine all of those things
Mm-hmm.
for different ceremonies with yourself as well. Like every time I do cacao, it's a ceremony. Every time I'm using certain herbs, it's a ceremony. You don't need to make like a huge, big ceremony out of everything. Every
Mm-hmm.
little thing can be a ceremony too.
Mm-hmm.
So even when I'm using herbs when I'm cooking, I'm giving gratitude and thanks for the herbs and everything that I know that they're doing in my body and in my environment. Same with when I have tea. I usually, well, when I'm doing cacao for sure, I take the cacao and it goes straight to my heart first before I ingest any of it. And I do that a lot with my tea too. I'll just sit with my teacup. It's usually a mug. It's not usually a teacup. I don't sit with my pinky up and like sometimes I do. Actually, I might. Um, but I'll sit with it up against my chest and just give gratitude and accept the blessings in and set intentions for the herbs that I'm using. Even if it's just a simple cup of tea.
But that's the beautiful piece of it, right? And
Mhm.
you're putting yourself in such a high vibrational space. Gratitude and love are just, some of the highest forms of light and healing and energy that you can have. Any opportunity you can have to sit in that is, it's not only beautiful, but then everything you use is just working so much more because you're just so open to it. And that's
It's
a
so
lovely way to do it.
wonderful.
It is very, that's like the epitome of wonderful. But bringing up what you said about ceremony too, if you want to do something simple for yourself, you can make these little daily things a piece of your life. If you want something larger than that, there is power in a group, and a group setting intention, the same intention as well. So you could do these little daily things, and if you feel like you need a little more, you could set up something around the moon, or it doesn't even have to be that way. It can just be setting up an opportunity to get together, share a meal, sit in meditation for a little while, or sit in joy for a little while, enjoy your fire, and then take a
Mhm.
moment to do some releasing in the fire, to do a burning ceremony and write out the things that you want to release and the things you want to bring into your life. And all of you put it out there into the fire and watch that beautiful smoke rise. Like, there's so many ways that you can do this by yourself as well as in a group.
Mhm.
But it all starts with sitting with yourself for a minute and being open to what you need, on many
Yeah.
different levels. You'll get the information, but
Yeah.
and it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be like, well, I must do it this way. This is the only way that it works. There's not all those rules around it, really, in the grand
Yeah.
scheme of things. It's just about intention and utilizing all of the things we have around us to
Yeah.
help us be our
Yeah.
best.
That reminds me of a conversation I had not too long ago with a couple of healers that I met, and how people always assume that you have to follow all of the rules and you have to do everything a certain way because everybody who came before you did it this certain way. And we had this beautiful conversation about how our ancestors got the information from somewhere. Our
Mm-hmm.
ancestors got the information from spirit, or they felt called to do it a certain way. And we're no different. Like
Mm-hmm.
we get the information too. So if you feel called to do your ceremony your way
Mm-hmm.
and not the way that you were told it needed to be done, if it feels right to you, listen to that.
Mm-hmm.
because you're no different from your ancestors. You're no different from the people who came before you. You can get that information too.
Yes. And
So
how beautiful is
just
it to
listen.
release judgment around
Yeah.
that? We don't have to make it hard.
No.
We can release the
No.
judgment on ourselves or the need to feel like you're doing everything really specifically. We can release the judgment around how other people do it and just sit with it.
Mhm.
You can take, like you said, you can take information that other people have used if you feel like you want a framework, but if there's a piece of it that just doesn't sit right with you, well, that doesn't mean that it has to be that way for you.
No. No.
Yeah.
You you can make it hard if you want to. Like if you feel called to make it hard, go for it. But if you just want to be chill.
Yes. And that's kind of the point of this whole episode, right? Is we came through a lot of kind of big energetic shifts that were happening over the last several weeks. And it's okay to just allow yourself a little bit of flow into this
Mhm.
next phase. Because this is a time where we're also getting all this energy of wanting to do all these new things. So it's a perfect time to just release, allow things to flow into this next phase. You're going to be so much happier and so
Yeah.
much more content with whatever comes. And you might even be able to release some of your expectations around how your next steps all need to be and just allow them to be however they're going to be,
Yeah.
which usually feels a lot better in my personal experience. Because
I,
trust me, there's a lot of things
yes.
that my brain tells me need to be like done a certain way, and releasing
Hmm.
all of that and just letting it happen always is, not only does it always turn out better because I'm not so focused on one thing that I've missed all of these other things
Hmm.
that are being presented to me, but then I also am just happier going into it, so I'm always happier with the outcome. So I
Yeah.
love doing all this stuff and playing around with it and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
enjoying it.
Yeah. Well, and I love to hear about the different ceremonies that people do because I've been around a lot of practitioners lately and a lot of people who have different belief systems and different traditions. And so I've gotten to hear about several different types of ceremonies or several personal ceremonies that people do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be very curious to hear about other people's personal ceremonies, how
Yeah.
they do them, and what they use for clearing and what they use for setting their intentions. And so if anybody wants to share those things with us, I would love to hear it. Um, if you have like if you have a framework for the ceremony you use and you want to share it, feel free to share it. Maybe somebody else
Yes.
will resonate with that. But
Yes.
I would just love to hear what everybody else is doing and how you're using your herbs and how you're incorporating Mother Earth into your ceremonies and into your personal life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this was fun as usual.
Yeah. Well, hopefully everybody will have an amazing week now that all of those giant shifts have happened. You can move into your new beginnings and
Mm-hmm.
have a little bit more peace in the next few weeks and hopefully in the next year.
Sounds
So
awesome.
we will see everybody next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
If you want more woo, please feel free to check the links in the description. Of course, we love hearing from you, so keep letting us know all of your lovely ideas. Have a beautiful day, our wonderful woo mates.